2011 as Kent Easter made a 1:15 p.m. call to Irvine police using an alias and a phony accent.
Just had to go over to the school and saw a car driving very erratically. I'm concerned one of the parent volunteers there may be under the influence or using drugs.
And what's your last name?
Chandrasekhar.
The call trying to set up Kelly for a bogus bust. The cop dispatched to the school's parking lot, discovering these illicit items in Peter's car.
There was a large bag of marijuana that was protruding out of the seat pocket behind the driver's seat.
And they put it out on top of the police car for everybody to see, which was really hard because I kept thinking, my daughter's getting out any minute. And I'm just thinking, the whole world is looking at this right now. And I said, please, they're not mine. I swear to you, they're not mine.
She was right. They weren't hers. Tests showed the Easter's DNA on the marijuana pipe found in Peter's car. And that phone call? Police traced it to this Newport Beach hotel. Not where you'd spot erratic driving in Irvine. And that man, captured on the hotel's surveillance video, Kent Easter.
So when the police were able to determine that the defendant's law firm was right next door, the pieces started to come together for them.
Kelly was cleared. Police gathering evidence indicating the Easters had planted the drugs and paraphernalia in Kelly's car the night before.
A case of an Irvine lawyer who's charged with planting the car of a PTA volunteer.
The Easters were each charged with false imprisonment for trying to set Kelly up. Jill copped a plea and was sentenced to 120 days. Kent Easter wanted to go to trial, forcing Kelly to relive her trauma and anguish on the stand. Kent's attorney paints him as Jill's hapless stooge.
An overly trusting husband trying to appease a difficult wife.
Entered into evidence this email from Jill to Kent, a sort of honey-do list from hell. She has some legal assignments for Kent and wants them done in 24 hours. Exhausts the criminal code against Kelly and files suits against the school district, the school, and whomever else we possibly can tomorrow. Then a bizarre twist. Jill Easter appearing as a surprise witness for Kent. Appearing, but never actually testifying, claiming she'd gone deaf. Kent was found guilty and sentenced to 180 days. But the toll of the whole ordeal left Kelly eager for another kind of justice at a civil trial.
That was hard for me to want to do. Like, why would I go through another trial? But it was the principle. I needed to get out there, get my story told, stick up for myself.
She sued the Easters, saying she was forced to endure extreme distress, fear, and public humiliation. Still, Kent Easter remained defiant, as this exclusive deposition video shows.
Sir, did you knowingly participate in a scheme with your wife to frame Kelly Peters?
No.
So you maintain that you are innocent of framing Kelly Peters for drug possession?
Yes.
Okay. It seems to me, don't you think you'd feel better if you just said, you know what, I did it, I screwed up, I regret it, I'm sorry. Wouldn't that feel good just to say that?
Is this a therapy session or a deposition?
What would shrink at trial, though, would be Kent Easter's resolve, as he admitted at last to planting those illicit drugs.
How did you respond to the fact that he was willing to say that he had done what he'd always denied doing?
And not only that, he also said Kelly didn't do anything to my son. It was all made up. That made me start crying. That was more important than anything I think I'd heard out of his mouth ever.
He tried to fall on his sword and say, well, I admit it, I did it. And I think the jury saw through that.
The jury sided with Kelly, taking just a few hours to award her $5.7 million in damages.
And she was vindicated. That number it's vindication for her.
With the Easters divorcing and Kent Easter filing for bankruptcy, any collection of that judgment might go a little, slow. But Kelly Peters is exultant nonetheless.
Why was it worth going through the civil trial, even though you're not sure if you'll see any money from the Easters?
I think it was really important to face these people. It was kind of like having a little one-on-one with them. I feel like they thought they were smarter than everybody, and we needed to go in there and prove who the smart ones were, who the good people were. They just can't get away with stuff like that.
You've got some healing still to do.
Yeah, but I have to heal fast. I need to get out and work.
Fresh start.
Fresh start, yeah.
For Nightline, I'm Chris Connolly in Irvine, California.
Next, the vigilante groups taking up arms against drug cartels in Mexico. A tumultuous tale told in the Oscar-nominated documentary Cartel Land. The global market in illicit drugs has turned into a modern war, and ground zero is Mexico. Drug cartels battle authorities and each other. Tonight, an up-close look at the enormous costs of this war as vigilante groups take on the cartels. A story told in the Oscar-nominated documentary Cartel Land. Here's ABC's Matt Gutman.
Brewing in that blue barrel is the stuff of war. It's meth, cooked by masked and heavily armed men deep inside the Mexican jungle.
Claro que hacemos, toda droga que se va para allá, pero te voy a decir, hacemos de bajo recursos, estamos pobres.
The cooking process and the shoot that ensued to control the drug trade are just some of the rarely seen images blasted at you in the Oscar-nominated documentary Cartel Land. It's a chilling look into Mexico's drug war, a war so brutal. Just this week, the Pope made an emotional plea to Mexico's youth to resist the temptation of the cartels and prayed for the victims of this deadly battle.
There's this war that's happening in the country just south of us, a war in which 100,000 people have been killed since 2007. This is a war that we're responsible for.
Filmmaker Matthew Heineman spent 9 months in the Mexican state of Michoacan to bring the war there home to us. According to U.S. drug enforcement, Mexican cartels supply as much as 80% of all meth sold in the U.S.
That's why there's been, this fight for power in this area.
And a large portion of it cooked up by the Knights Templar cartel in Michoacan. Their byproducts are extortion, kidnappings, torture, and murder. The cartel wielded almost complete control for over a decade.
Eso es lo que hay aquí en Michoacán. Que ella quiere hacer justicia.
So much grief and justice and subtle government action that citizens decided to fight back. In 2013, organizing themselves into a vigilante group called the Auto Defense, or Self-Vendors. Led by a larger-than-life small-town doctor named Jose Manuel Morales.
Importante que ustedes estén unidos.
Heinemann was there to capture the early days of this movement.
Y es hora de que quememos las armas.
Their goal to take down cartel members one by one.
Y para adelante todos.
But as the movement grew larger and more powerful, Heinemann discovers that this is not a story about good versus evil.
I came away from the film thinking that there is no difference between Knights Templar and the Auto Defensas. They use the same means, murder, extortion.
There are definitely members of the group that operated that way, but not everyone was like that. They rose up to protect their villages or their towns. What unfortunately took place was power corrupted.
That evil whipping up increasing violence, which not even the documentarian was immune.
Were you ever a target of the cartel?
There's countless times when I was surrounded by people, threatened. There's many, many close calls and scary moments.
The government issued an ultimatum to the vigilantes. Pledge allegiance to the government and enjoy immunity or kill him. Fearing execution, most surrendered and were rearmed.
Yo ya tengo escalil, que me la asignó el gobierno como parte de las fuerzas rurales.
But Morales holds out because he believes the government itself has been corrupted by the cartels.
The very institutions that are there to protect them either weren't there or they were working in collaboration and direct collusion with the cartels.
And U.S. authorities say it's widespread corruption that makes this drug war so difficult to fight. Last July, the Mexican government was called into question when narco kingpin Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, head of the Sinaloa cartel, busted out of this prison near Mexico City through an underground tunnel built right into his cell. An escape many experts believe was pulled off with the help from the inside. Months later, authorities reportedly tracking him to this secret hideout. Seen here in this video released by the Mexican government. But El Chapo outsmarted the Mexican Marines by slipping away through this mirrored wall, designed for this exact moment.
It's incredible that right out of that closet in that mirror is this perfectly constructed secret passageway. We're going to go down the stairs here.
It led to a tunnel and then the city's drainage system.
For hundreds of yards, El Chapo and his lieutenant crawled through here. He can't even crouch. He's about 3 feet high, extremely claustrophobic, and you can tell why. He came out of here looking so filthy.
He was finally caught and sent back to jail, but not without exposing the weaknesses of Mexican law enforcement in the face of the cartels. And they rely on tunnels, not just as escape routes, but also as smuggling routes.
This is terrifying.
But it only has to be comfortable enough to do one thing: smuggle drugs fast. So far, authorities have uncovered more than 180 tunnels along the 2,000-mile-long border with Mexico. The cartels smuggle not just underground, but over it too, brazen muling across the open border.
The cartels keep getting away.
And in cartel land, we also meet another armed vigilante group fighting on the side of the border.
Let's go.
Arizona Border Recon is led by